What's up, guys? Techno Tenore here, and as you probably realize, much like a final form of a starter Pokemon, I'm standing up. Epic segue. Speaking of which, the Pokemon Presents happened today on Pokemon Day of all days, as it usually does every year, and there were some pretty decent announcements. Obviously, it started pretty mellow with things that, you know, is for a certain type of audience, and I don't mind that because Pokemon is such a broad IP, and I've been a Pokemon fan for ever, basically, as long as I've lived. And I just kind of want to go through the direct a little bit. I have it sped up. I'm not really going to put the volume on in case of any copyright issues, but I did think this direct was kind of okay. Overall, like, I think some people were expecting a little bit too much. I don't think anybody was expecting Gen 10, but I think there were probably a couple of things people were either expecting that were probably unreasonable, or, maybe having the Gens 1 through 3 on Nintendo Switch Online, because I think everybody would be down for that. I'm especially down for that. But overall, it seemed like a pretty meh direct to me, pretty meh presentation. A lot of people seem pretty disappointed, but there are other people who are also floored, like they were amazed. I was just kind of in the middle, to be perfectly honest. It started off pretty simple with some of the updates to the Pokemon Concierge show on Netflix, which I've never watched. I don't really have a big interest in watching it either. But who knows? I might give it a try. Pokemon Go is having their Unova Go tour, and I got a ton of the free legendaries that they were giving out for missions. Like, it came with the Swords of Justice and Genesect, and I did not get a single shiny. My friend got two, so I am definitely very jealous. But moving on, there were a lot of mobile game, talk, and obviously these games are very big for the Pokemon Company in terms of generating revenue. So I'm not surprised they get continuous updates, but it seems like a lot of people kind of think it takes up too much of the direct. But personally, I think it's okay. They kind of just seem to run right through it and get to the big stuff. It just seems like they had a lot of different announcements, whether it was mobile game, trading card games, or, even main series games as we get into later. Pokemon Unite has a new character coming in and some new updates, which is exciting. But moving on, TCG Pocket is the one I'm the most excited about because I've played this all the time. I play this all the time on my shifts at work when I get bored. So, it seems like there's another expansion coming out based on Arceus, the Triumphant Light. I'm really hoping we get some Dragon type EXs. I want that Garchomp EX for my Cynthia deck because I am a massive simp. But moving on, it seems like Mega Evolution is coming back to the mainstream TCG, and I've always wanted to get into the TCG, but like the market is so volatile that like people are literally tackling each other at Costco's and Best Buys to get cards just so they can, maintain value instead of actually playing the game, because I would probably just collect the ones I like and just play the game, really. That's probably what I'd do. But TCG's getting Mega Evolution again. Seems pretty interesting. It seems like they're starting to incorporate a lot of the gimmicks, particularly Mega Evolution and Terastallization, into the upcoming releases of plenty of different games. Speaking of which, we have there's some Scarlet and Violet stuff. We have the big announcement that was this Direct's big front and center announcement. In addition to Legends ZA, we have a new Pokemon Battle Simulator on Switch and mobile, which I think is very much needed. I think, where you have the main series core mechanics, the RPG mechanics, turn-based battles, and the strategy that comes with multiplayer, and it always seemed to never really reach a lot of people. Like, usually, like, you have the hardcore players, and that's really it. So this seems like it might be reaching a bit further to grab more gamers in terms of playing competitive battles from the main series core games, which is definitely very exciting. And the fact that they have things like Terastallization and Mega Evolution seems like it's going to be really exciting, where they're going to have a lot of different mechanics and things included. And I'm hoping we get Z moves and Dynamax as well, where we're able to sort of customize our rule sets based on how we want it. And I think that would be a really cool idea where they just have all the mechanics, all the Pokemon, all in one game. And you can customize the battles however you want based on rule sets for like tournaments or anything like that. And obviously, the Pokemon Company can do the same, where they'll like announce online tournaments, and you can like experience all different types of rule sets based on different generations or different themes. They did something similar back in the day with the Pokemon Global Link, where they had Global Link tournaments that had had specific themes, and this seems like something that I think is going to reach a lot more people than I expect. The one thing I'm kind of curious about is because this is on Nintendo Switch and it's on mobile. I'm almost curious as to why they didn't come up with a PC port, because it seems like something a lot of PC gamers might be interested in as well. Like maybe while they're doing like work from home remote stuff, they could play Pokemon Champions on their computer instead of having to kind of like look away on their phone or their tablet or their Switch. So seems like a missed opportunity in my opinion. I think they can reach a bigger audience if they were more open to announcing PC ports for things like Pokemon Champions, Pokemon Unite, and maybe a couple of other games that might fit on PC as a platform. But that's just kind of my thoughts on the matter. But I'm definitely very excited. I'm thinking about playing through all the older generations again, and playing through Pokemon Stadium and Stadium 2 and the Coliseum games, Battle Revolution, just so I can kind of be prepared for Pokemon Champions, because I think hopefully it'll have a decent amount of single-player content. That's the thing that I'm going to be a bit watchful over, because if it doesn't have that single-player content to really keep people into the game, or at least get them started, like I think it might not land in the way they want it to, this game. But this was also a co-developed by the Pokemon Works, which is a new subsidiary collaboration type of team that is working on different projects with sort of Game Freak as the supervisors. So it's definitely very interesting that this is their first project coming up, and I'm pretty excited for it because I've been wanting a pretty high definition battle sim that looks really good and a lot of people could play it. Hopefully we see more actual gameplay eventually. It just kind of seemed it didn't look like proof of concept, but there definitely was some mystery as to like, is this the actual gameplay, is it not, or is it just a proof of concept? Hopefully it's a little bit more than that by the time we get more footage. But the big thing coming up is Pokemon Legends ZA. You also have the trading card game and other games coming in different Latin American Spanish, which is definitely very exciting for a lot of people. I just like how they keep doing that and kind of embrace other countries into the fold when it comes to making more Pokemon fans. So that's definitely a very nice thing that they keep doing, that I think is, separating them from like the bunch in terms of the big IPs. But the big thing was Pokemon Legends ZA. And this game looks pretty alright. Like, I'm going to play it because honestly, Legends Arceus was my favorite Switch Pokemon game, at least in terms of the core games this generation, because every other game in the Switch generation has just been very disappointing, or, just not up to snuff of what I'd expect. And Legends Arceus was kind of the change for that, so I'm looking forward to this game overall. It's kind of weird that we have Totodile, Chikorita, and Tepig as the starters, so you have 2 Gen 2 Mons and 1 Gen 5. I have a feeling that in a third Legends game, it's going to be Snivy, Popplio, and Litten, just so we have the 3 different gens with the 3 different starter forms. But Mega Evolution is also back. I also wonder if abilities are here, because the combat has changed significantly. It's different in this game, where there is sort of a real-time spin to it, where you can dodge attacks and walk around, and hopefully we get more details on that later on, just to see what exactly we're dealing with here, because Legends Arceus didn't have abilities, they didn't have a few other things, so maybe it's kind of similar to that, where they focus a bit more on the actual mechanic as opposed to older ones, which is alright. I would hope that they would have something, but you know me. I'm a little bit picky and a bit of a purist at some points. But yeah, here's AZ and Floette. So we'll probably finally get the AZ's Floette in our Pokedexes without cheating. So that's something. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It seems like a decent project where you're in like an open city area and it's all in Lumio City and it's a redevelopment project, so you're rebuilding the town. And I hope there's a bit more, nature and like different out wild areas instead of like there's like these weird let me skip forward. It's like these weird like areas that are just like overgrown and just have like the buildings and everything. I do hope that it's a little bit different upon launch, where we're able to kind of explore more vast like nature areas as opposed to just like overgrown buildings. But I figure most of it will take place in Lumio City. Since it's based on Paris, I think they might do like a Paris Catacombs thing. That would actually be sick. Sort of like include that in the lore. And hopefully we even get some newer Pokemon too. Like we got the Enamorus from Legends Arceus, and we also got some really cool new forms. So that seems like it'll be pretty exciting when we see this game in late 2025. Overall, it was a really, really meh direct, but I think there were some things that at least made me say like, oh, that's interesting. Like, oh, that's something I want to play. Particularly Pokemon Champions and Legends ZA, obviously. I do think, though, that something they have to do is that they really have to get something like Pokemon Champions on PC. Like, I just think that would be a good way to introduce more, like, hardcore gamers and, like, PC gamers to, a Nintendo IP in a way that isn't exactly intrusive to the sales of the main series, but still introduces battles and other things to the game. It's almost like maybe they could make some sort of massive multiplayer game out of it, but they don't really have to. They would just have to make sure they make something that, is appealing and that you could play on its own without having to, play through all the games like I do obsessively over and over again. So hopefully this reaches a new audience, but I was definitely expecting more of a, PC port, because I just think that's something they could do to help increase the audience more, because the only real Pokemon game on PC is like the competitive TCG, the TCG Live, I think it is. They have a PC version. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, because I know they have mobile and they don't have a Switch version for some reason, but they have the PC version as well. But yeah, I thought it was a meh direct. I'd probably give it like a B-, C+ type of, rating. But yeah, I think it was, they had some things that I'm excited for, but it just kind of seemed like a lot of the same old, and there's still a lot left unknown about, not only Gen 10, but like what they're going to do with older generations, whether it comes to remakes or re-releases of older titles as well. I actually plan on... Thing is, my big project, this is actually a bit of an announcement. I think I'm going to do a bit of like a video diary series of replaying all the generations and trying to 100% them. Like, not just catching every Pokemon and getting a living dex, but also like doing a lot of the different challenges and even playing the stadium games, because that's what I kind of want to do with the first 3 generations, is that I want to play through like all, like, like RBY, Gold, Silver, Crystal, and Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and like play the Coliseum and Stadium games in addition to that, and get a lot of the unlocked challenges and different Pokemon. But I think that might be more of an in-depth video diary series. There's this guy I follow called Nostalgic Nighthawk who does a similar video diary series where he dives into his experience of like 100%ing Pokemon games, or like going through the Battle Frontier in Emerald version. He's definitely a very interesting creator. So if you look up Nostalgic Nighthawk, he's a really cool YouTube channel and a real pretty cool guy. So go subscribe to him. But yeah, there's nothing really else to say. It was just a Pokemon Presents. It happened, things were announced, and people are either disappointed or happy. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye bye.